like she was trash. Her passport slid, her wallet flipped open, and then a small black case clacked against the tray. The agent popped it open and froze. Inside was a military badge, not a toy, not a souvenir, a real one. He snorted loud enough for the whole line to hear. "Oh, wow. Look at this." He held it up like a trophy. "You think you can carry this through my checkpoint?" People started staring. Someone behind her whispered, "Stolen valor." The agent leaned closer, voice sharp and smug. "That badge is fake, and you're lucky I don't put you in cuffs right now." Olivia didn't argue. She didn't beg. She just stood there, calm. Then a German shepherd suddenly barked and came sprinting straight toward her. A Navy SEAL in civilian gear chased after it until his eyes landed on the badge, then Olivia, and his entire face changed. He stopped so hard his boots scraped the floor, and his hand rose slowly toward his forehead. If you want to know who Olivia really is and why an entire airport froze in silence, comment where you're watching from and subscribe, because this story gets insane. The TSA line at Gate C security was packed the way it always is. Shoes in bins, people half awake, kids crying, businessmen barking into phones like the world owed them time. Olivia stood quietly near the back, hands folded over the strap of her carry-on. Early 30s. Beautiful. Dark brown hair pulled back neat, calm eyes. The kind of calm that didn't belong in an airport. She wasn't scrolling TikTok. She wasn't sighing. She wasn't irritated. She just waited like she'd done harder things than this. And that's exactly what made the TSA agent notice her. "Step out of line," the agent snapped, like he'd been waiting for a reason. He was mid-40s, thick neck, badge crooked, the type who enjoyed the tiny power too much. Olivia blinked once. "Is there a problem?" she asked, polite. The man's partner, a younger woman, smirked and said loud enough for people to hear, "We got ourselves a special one." A few passengers glanced over. Olivia didn't argue. She stepped aside and placed her bag on the table. That's when the agent leaned closer and said in a low voice, almost enjoying it, "Don't play innocent, Betch. We can tell when someone's hiding something." Olivia's eyes didn't change, but her shoulders tightened just a fraction. The agent unzipped her bag and started digging like he was searching for a crime. He tossed her phone charger onto the table, then her toiletries, then her wallet. He even shook out her clothes one by one, like humiliation was part of the screening process. Olivia stood still while strangers stared. A guy in the line raised his phone and started recording. Someone behind him chuckled. The younger TSA woman laughed and said, "What? She got something to hide." Olivia's jaw clenched. She didn't look away. She didn't beg. She didn't plead. And for some reason, that made them push harder. Then the agent's fingers hit something solid. He pulled out a small black pouch and dumped it on the table. Something metallic clinked. He froze for half a second, then smiled like he'd just found treasure. "Oh, look at this," he said, holding it up. It was a badge. Not police, not security. Military. Clean. Heavy. The kind that wasn't bought in a gift shop. The agent's eyes lit up, not with respect, but with mockery. "Are you serious?" he laughed. "You carrying a fake military badge through TSA?" He held it up higher so more people could see. "You know this is illegal, right?" Olivia's eyes flicked to the badge, then back to him. "Put it down," she said quietly. The agent leaned in. "Or what?" he said loud. "You gonna call your imaginary Navy friends?" The younger TSA woman laughed again. "Maybe she thinks she's a SEAL," she said, making a fake salute. The people in line started whispering. Some looked uncomfortable. Most stayed silent. Olivia's breathing stayed even, but her fingers curled slightly at her side, like she was holding something back. The agent slapped the badge down on the table, then pulled out a sealed envelope from Olivia's bag. It was thick, official looking. The corner had bold print, Pentagon, priority. He frowned at it like it offended him. He waved it around. "What is this?" he said. "Some little cosplay package?" He tore the seal open halfway, then stopped. His face shifted. Not fear. Not yet. Confusion. Like he'd just stepped onto ground he didn't understand. Olivia's voice dropped lower. "Don't open that," she warned. This time her tone wasn't polite. It was command. The agent's pride flared. "Or what, Selt?" he snapped, the word sharp enough to make a woman nearby gasp. "You think you can walk in here with fake badges and scare people? You're not special. You're just another liar." That's when the sound changed. A bark cut through the checkpoint, deep, sharp, and controlled. Not a random dog bark, a working bark. Heads turned instantly. The TSA agent looked up, annoyed, like someone had interrupted his fun. But Olivia didn't look surprised. Her eyes moved toward the far end of security. And for the first time, the calm on her face cracked. Not into fear, into recognition. A military K9, German Shepherd, harnessed, powerful, came sprinting straight toward them. The dog wasn't panicking. It wasn't out of control. It was moving with purpose. Like it had just found something it was trained to find. The handler, a tall Navy SEAL in green camo, came running after him, shouting, "Cooper, heel!" The dog didn't stop. It locked onto Olivia like a magnet. The K9 skidded to a stop right in front of her. Sat, perfect posture, eyes up, waiting. The whole airport went quiet. Even the TSA agent stopped talking. The SEAL reached them breathless, grabbed the leash, then looked down at the badge on the table. His face went blank. Then he looked up at Olivia, and something in his eyes changed so fast it made the hair on the back of the TSA agent's neck rise, because that SEAL wasn't confused. He was shocked, his hand lifted slowly, and then, right there in front of everyone, he snapped to attention and saluted her so sharply it looked like muscle memory. And the TSA agent whispered, barely audible, "Who the hell are you?" The TSA agent didn't move for a full second. His mouth opened, then closed again, like his brain was buffering. The line behind Olivia went silent. Even the guy who'd been recording lowered his phone. The Navy SEAL stood there still saluting, posture locked, jaw tight. Cooper, the K9, sat perfectly at Olivia's feet like he belonged there. Olivia didn't return the salute right away. She just stared at the SEAL, eyes steady, and said one quiet sentence that hit like a hammer. "At ease." The SEAL dropped his hand instantly. No hesitation, no ego, like it was an order he'd waited years to hear again. And the TSA agent's face turned pale when he realized he wasn't watching a random soldier being polite. He was watching someone being recognized. The agent tried to recover. This is a security checkpoint," he stammered, voice suddenly smaller. "You can't just—" The SEAL cut him off with a calm that felt dangerous. "Sir, step back from her belongings." The TSA agent puffed up again, trying to cling to his authority. "Or what? You think you run this place?" The SEAL's eyes didn't blink. "I don't think. I know." Then he reached down and picked up the envelope the TSA agent had half opened. He looked at the corner print. Pentagon, priority, and his entire face tightened. He didn't show fear. He showed respect, like he'd just seen a red line nobody was supposed to cross. Olivia finally moved. She didn't snatch anything. She didn't yell. She calmly took the badge off the table, placed it back in its pouch, and zipped it into her bag like she was packing away a memory. The TSA agent's partner, the younger woman, tried to laugh it off. "Okay, so what? She knows a SEAL. That doesn't mean—" The SEAL turned his head slowly toward her. "Ma'am," he said, voice low, "you don't understand what you just touched." The woman's smile died instantly. Cooper's ears flicked like he could feel the shift too. People in line leaned closer, not to be nosy, to survive. Because the air had changed from airport drama to something heavier. Then the TSA supervisor arrived. A tall man in a blazer, headset on, trying to look like he had control. "What's going on here?" he demanded. The TSA agent jumped in fast, desperate. "This woman tried to bring a fake military badge through security. She's causing a disturbance. He pointed at the SEAL, is interfering." The supervisor looked at Olivia like she was a problem to be removed. Olivia didn't speak. The SEAL did. "Sir, her badge is real. Her travel clearance is real, and your officer just committed a serious violation by opening that envelope." The supervisor scoffed. "You don't tell TSA what's a violation." The SEAL's eyes hardened. Then call your federal liaison and ask them what Pentagon priority means. The supervisor hesitated, and that hesitation was the first crack. Olivia stepped closer to the supervisor and said, "I'm not here to make a scene. I'm here because someone is waiting for me." The supervisor looked at her face, really looked. And for the first time, he seemed to notice what the TSA agent never did. Her posture, her stillness, the way she held herself like she didn't need permission to exist. The supervisor swallowed and said, "Ma'am, can you identify yourself?" Olivia didn't answer him. She reached into her bag, pulled out a folded travel document, and slid it across the table. The supervisor read the first line, then his face drained. His eyes flicked up to the seal, then back down, then to Olivia again. His voice dropped. This says Commander." The TSA agent's mouth fell open. "Commander?" he repeated like it was a joke. "She's not. She's a civilian. Look at her." The SEAL took one step forward. "She's not a civilian," he said. "Not even close." The TSA agent's pride snapped. "Then why is she dressed like this? Why is she flying alone? Why is she standing in my line like everyone else?" Olivia's eyes narrowed slightly. "Because I don't walk around wearing my past like a costume," she said. "And because I don't need to prove anything to you." Her voice wasn't loud. It was worse than loud. It was controlled. The kind of voice people listened to in war zones. The TSA agent took a step back without realizing it. Then he did something stupid. He reached for her bag again, like he still had the right. Cooper stood, not barking, not lunging, just standing. The entire checkpoint froze. The dog's body was a wall now. The TSA agent's hand stopped midair. The SEAL tightened the leash slightly. "Don't," he warned. The TSA agent's face flushed red with humiliation. He looked around at the crowd, at the supervisor, at the SEAL, at Olivia, and he realized, too late, that the room had turned against him. He tried to laugh. Okay, fine. But if she's so important, why is she going through regular TSA?" The SEAL answered without blinking. "Because she asked to." That made the supervisor's throat tighten, because that meant Olivia could have walked through a private lane, escorted, protected, and chose not to. The supervisor cleared his throat and said, "Ma'am, we're going to expedite you through." Olivia nodded once. Then she did something that made the entire TSA team feel even smaller. She looked directly at the agent who insulted her and said, "I don't want him fired." The agent blinked, stunned. Olivia continued, "I want him trained. I want him to understand what respect looks like." The SEAL's jaw tightened like he was holding back a smile. The supervisor nodded quickly. "Yes, ma'am." The TSA agent stood there, ashamed and confused, like mercy felt worse than punishment. Olivia picked up her bag. Cooper sat again, and the SEAL said quietly, "Commander Hayes, permission to escort you." Olivia looked at him for a long moment. Then she said, "Permission granted." As they walked toward the gate, people parted like water. Some stared at Olivia like she was famous. Others stared like she was dangerous. A little boy tugged his mom's sleeve and whispered, "Mom, is she a soldier?" His mom whispered back, "I think she's more than that." Olivia didn't react, but as they passed the glass wall, her reflection caught her eye. For a split second, she looked tired. Not airport tired, life tired. The SEAL noticed it too. He leaned in and said quietly, "Ma'am, they told us you were dead." Olivia didn't stop walking. She just said, "Yeah." Then she added, even quieter, "That was the point." Right before they reached the gate, Olivia's phone buzzed once. One text, from a blocked number, only 4 words. "We see you, Commander." And the SEAL's hand tightened on Cooper's leash as Olivia stopped walking. Olivia didn't even look down at the message again. She just slid her phone back into her pocket like she'd seen worse, but the SEAL beside her didn't miss the way her fingers tightened for half a second. His name patch read Brooks, and he kept his voice low. "Ma'am, you want me to call it in?" Olivia shook her head. "Not yet," she said. "They want us to panic." Cooper, the K9, let out a soft huff through his nose, almost like he understood. The airport noise around them returned slowly. Announcements, rolling luggage, footsteps. But something had shifted. The world felt normal again, and that made it more dangerous, because threats didn't always show up loud. Sometimes they showed up polite. At the gate, Brooks didn't sit. He stood in the corner with Cooper at heel, eyes scanning faces like he was back on deployment. Olivia sat near the window, posture straight, hands folded, like she was waiting for a briefing. A man across from them kept glancing over. Too often, too fast. Then he stood and walked away the moment Brooks met his eyes. Brooks leaned down and murmured, "You see that?" Olivia didn't answer right away. She watched the crowd like she was reading a map. "Yeah," she said, "and he's not alone." That was the first time Brooks looked genuinely unsettled. Not because he was scared of a fight, because he realized Olivia was right. People weren't staring out of curiosity anymore. They were watching, measuring. Boarding started. Olivia stood first. Brooks moved beside her without asking. TSA agents at the gate suddenly acted overly helpful, scanning her pass too carefully, smiling too hard. Olivia gave nothing back, just walked. When she stepped onto the plane, a flight attendant greeted her with a bright voice that didn't match her eyes. "Welcome aboard," she said, then glanced down at Olivia's bag like she was memorizing it. Brooks noticed too. He didn't say anything, but his hand moved closer to Cooper's harness. Olivia's seat was in first class. Brooks was in coach. That's how the airline had it. Olivia looked back at him once. "Stay close," she said. Brooks nodded. "Always." The plane taxied. Engines roared. The airport shrank beneath them. For 10 minutes, everything looked normal. People opened laptops. A kid watched cartoons. Someone complained about legroom. Then Cooper's ears lifted. His head turned sharply toward the aisle. Brooks felt it instantly. The dog didn't bark. He didn't growl. He just locked in, like he'd caught a scent that didn't belong. Brooks followed Cooper's gaze and saw a man walking toward the first-class curtain. Late 30s, clean haircut, polo shirt, no carry-on, too calm. The man stopped at the curtain like he was checking a seat number. Then he looked straight at Olivia. Not a glance, a stare. Olivia didn't move. She didn't flinch, but her eyes narrowed just slightly, like she was confirming something she already suspected. The man smiled like he knew her. Then he lifted his hand, 2 fingers to his temple, mocking. A fake salute. Olivia's face didn't change, but Brooks felt something cold slide into his stomach, because he knew what that gesture meant. It wasn't disrespect. It was a message. "We know who you are." The man turned and walked back toward the rear. Brooks started to stand. Olivia shook her head once, small, controlled. "Not here," she mouthed. Brooks sat back down, jaw clenched. Cooper's tail went stiff. The dog was ready, but Brooks held him in place. That was the hardest part, being trained to act and being ordered not to. When the plane landed in D.C., Olivia didn't rush off. She waited until the aisle cleared. Brooks stayed close. Cooper walked perfectly at heel, eyes scanning like radar. The moment they stepped into the terminal, Olivia's phone buzzed again. Another blocked message. This one shorter. "Welcome home." Brooks exhaled sharply. "Ma'am, this isn't random." Olivia nodded. "I know." She walked faster now, but still controlled, like she refused to give anyone the satisfaction of seeing her run. At baggage claim, a man in a dark suit approached them. Not security, not TSA. His badge was clipped inside his jacket. Government. "Commander Hayes?" he asked. Olivia didn't answer verbally. She just showed him the Pentagon envelope. The man swallowed. "They're waiting for you," he said. Then he glanced at Brooks and Cooper. "And them?" Olivia said. "They're with me." The ride to the Pentagon was quiet. A black SUV, tinted windows, the city sliding by like a movie. Brooks sat across from Olivia, watching her face. She looked calm. Too calm, like she was holding the lid down on something boiling. "Ma'am," Brooks said carefully, "why did they say you were dead?" Olivia stared out the window for a long moment. Then she answered, "Because the mission I was on went wrong." Brooks waited. Olivia continued, voice flat. "And someone needed a scapegoat." Brooks felt his throat tighten. So they buried you? Olivia finally looked at him. Her eyes were sharp, but tired. They tried. Then she added, but the people who did it are still inside the building I'm about to walk into. The Pentagon rose ahead of them, massive, gray, and quiet, the kind of place that looked untouchable. The SUV passed through the first checkpoint, then the second. Brooks watched armed guards step back when Olivia's ID was shown, not because she demanded it, because the system recognized her. The SUV rolled into a secure bay, doors opened, and the moment Olivia stepped out, the hallway went still. Officers in uniform turned. Some froze, some straightened. One older Marine's eyes widened like he'd seen a ghost. Olivia didn't smile. She didn't soak in the attention. She just walked forward. Brooks and Cooper followed. At the end of the corridor, two men waited. One was a Navy SEAL admiral, mid-50s, broad-shouldered, disciplined, face worn by war and command. The other was in a civilian suit, expression blank. The admiral stepped forward first. His voice came out low. Olivia. Olivia stopped. For the first time, her mask cracked, not into weakness, into something heavier. History. Pain. The admiral's eyes glistened for half a second, then hardened. I didn't think I'd ever see you again, he said. Olivia took one step closer and said, you shouldn't have let them bury me. And the civilian man beside the admiral smiled, like he'd been waiting for this moment. The admiral didn't answer right away. He looked older up close, still strong, still sharp, but there was something behind his eyes that wasn't there in the photos. Exhaustion. Regret. He glanced at Brooks and Cooper, then back to Olivia. Not here, he said quietly. Come with me. Olivia followed him through a secured door into a briefing room with no windows. The kind of room where secrets didn't echo. A single flag, a long table, two folders already waiting. The civilian man walked in last and shut the door behind him like he owned the air. Brooks stayed near the wall. Cooper sat at heel, silent, watching. Olivia remained standing. She didn't take the chair they offered. That alone told everyone in the room she wasn't here to be welcomed. She was here to collect something. The civilian finally spoke. His voice was smooth, polite, the kind of voice that could ruin lives without raising volume. Commander Hayes, he said, smiling. You've been difficult to locate. Olivia stared at him. I wasn't hiding, she said. You were. The admiral's jaw flexed. The civilian's smile twitched but stayed in place. He slid one of the folders across the table. Let's not pretend this is personal, he said. This is operational. You disappeared after an unauthorized action. You were presumed compromised. The decision was made to bury the file. Olivia didn't touch the folder. You buried me, she corrected. And you let my name rot. The civilian opened his hands like a man pretending to be reasonable. We did what we had to do. Olivia's voice went colder. No, you did what you wanted to do. The admiral finally stepped in. Enough, he said. His tone wasn't angry, it was command. He looked at Olivia with something like pain. You were right back then, he admitted, and I was wrong. That sentence landed harder than any insult at TSA, because it meant the truth was bigger than ego. The admiral turned the second folder toward her. We found who leaked the mission, he said, and we found who signed the order to make you disappear. Olivia's eyes narrowed. So why am I only hearing this now? The admiral hesitated, then said, because they tried to move again. Brooks felt his stomach drop. Olivia didn't blink. Move how? She asked. The admiral tapped the folder. Your badge, he said. Your clearance. Your name in the system. Someone flagged it the moment you booked that flight. Olivia's fingers curled once. So TSA wasn't random, she said. The admiral shook his head. No, it was bait. To see if you were still alive. To see who would respond. Brooks glanced at Olivia, realizing the ugly truth. They didn't just want to humiliate her. They wanted to confirm she existed and track her all the way to DC. The civilian man's smile returned. And it worked, he said. You came right to us. Brooks shifted his weight. Cooper's ears lifted slightly. Olivia looked at the civilian like he was something she'd already survived once. "You're not us," she said. "You're a parasite." Then Olivia finally sat down. Not because she was tired, because she was ready to speak. "You want to know why I stayed quiet?" she asked. "Because I knew the moment I came back, I'd be standing in this room." She leaned forward. "I wasn't afraid of dying. I was afraid of wasting my life fighting shadows." The Admiral's face tightened. "Olivia." She cut him off. "Don't," she said. "You don't get to call me by my first name unless you're ready to admit what you did." The room went silent. Even the civilians stopped smiling. Brooks realized something then. Olivia wasn't here for revenge. She was here for accountability. That was scarier. The Admiral stood and did something nobody expected. He walked around the table, faced Olivia, and saluted her, not as a formality, as an apology. Brooks felt his throat tighten. The Admiral's voice cracked slightly. "Commander Olivia Hayes," he said, "on behalf of the teams you saved, and the men who never stopped believing you, welcome home." Olivia's eyes flashed for a second. She swallowed hard. Then she returned the salute. One clean motion. Perfect. Controlled. But her hand trembled just slightly on the way down. That was the moment Brooks understood the truth. Olivia wasn't unbreakable. She was just the kind of person who refused to break in public. The civilian tried one last move. "This is touching," he said, "but we're not here for sentiment. Commander Hayes, you're being reinstated under conditions. You will sign." Olivia stood up so fast the chair scraped. "No," she said. The word was simple. Final. The civilian's eyes narrowed. "Excuse me." Olivia stepped closer. "I'm not signing anything," she said. "You don't get to own me twice." The civilian's voice sharpened. "You don't have a choice." Olivia looked at Brooks, then at Cooper, then back at the Admiral. "Yes," she said. "I do." The Admiral's jaw clenched. "She does," he confirmed. The civilian's smile vanished completely. "Then you're a liability," he hissed. Olivia leaned in, close enough that her voice didn't need volume. "No," she whispered. "I'm your consequence." That's when the door opened. Two uniformed military police stepped in. The Admiral didn't look away from the civilian as he said, "Remove him." The civilian's face turned white. "You can't," he started, but the Admiral cut him off. "I can," he said, "and I just did." The civilian was escorted out, still trying to speak, still trying to hold on to power that had already slipped. Brooks watched it happen like a dream. The system didn't often correct itself. Not like this. Olivia stood there, breathing slow. Cooper remained still, like a statue. Then the Admiral looked at Brooks. "You," he said. "Good work at the airport." Brooks swallowed. "Yes, sir." The Admiral nodded once. "And your K9, he added, looking at Cooper. He knew who she was before anyone else did. Cooper's tail thumped once. In the hallway outside, something happened that Olivia didn't ask for and didn't expect. As she walked, officers stopped. One by one, they turned, they stood straighter, and they saluted. Not because she demanded respect, because the story had already spread through the building like wildfire. Commander Hayes is alive. Olivia didn't smile. She didn't wave. She just walked through it, eyes forward, like she was carrying every name she'd lost along the way. Brooks followed behind her with Cooper, and for the first time since the airport, Olivia looked like she could breathe. Outside the Pentagon, she paused at the steps. The wind tugged at her hair. She looked up at the sky, then down at the badge in her hand. She didn't kiss it. She didn't hold it like a trophy. She just closed her fist around it like a promise. Brooks stepped closer. "Ma'am," he said quietly. "What now?" Olivia looked at him, and finally, just for a second, she smiled. "Now," she said, "we go back to work." Then she walked forward. "And if you made it to the end of this story, I want you to hear this clearly. Some heroes don't come back with parades. Some come back through humiliation, through silence, through people trying to erase them. But when they return, the world remembers. So if you love stories like this, stories where dignity wins, where evil gets exposed, and where real strength stays calm. Please subscribe. Seriously, it helps more than you think. It keeps these stories alive, and it tells the algorithm that you want courage, not trash.